The city of New Arcadia shone like a jewel under a violet sky. Its tall glass towers reached toward the heavens, reflecting the light of 3 suns that burned far above. The air buzzed with sound, flying cars, service drones, delivery pods, all moving in perfect rhythm. For 200 years, this city had run like a machine, clean and precise. But for Unit 774, known by the maintenance crew as Rust Bucket, every day felt the same. He was an old Series 9 service droid, built 43 years ago in the lower districts. His white armor had faded to dull gray, scratched and dented from years of repairs. One of his eyes flickered sometimes when he processed too much data. His hands were tools, his voice cracked with static, and his purpose was simple. Fix things, clean things, and never ask questions. That was his life. That was all his life had ever been. Rust Bucket was working on level 67, hanging between 2 giant towers, his magnetic feet locked to the metal wall. The wind whistled past as he adjusted a broken climate control unit. His robotic arms moved with mechanical accuracy, tightening screws and calibrating sensors. Temperature variance detected in Sector 4, he said to no one, his voice box buzzing slightly. Correction applied. Moving to Sector 5. Talking to himself was a habit he had developed years ago. The technicians called it a harmless glitch, a personality quirk. Rust Bucket liked to think of it as keeping himself company. After all, nobody else ever did. Below him stretched the endless city, glowing layers stacked like a metal mountain. The lights shimmered through the mist, and down there, somewhere, life went on without him. He was just another tool, another old machine keeping the great city alive. Then, it happened. A sound. Soft at first like static, then sharper, a cry. Rust Bucket froze. His sensors flickered as he replayed the audio feed. It was not wind, not metal grinding. It was something alive. Analyzing sound pattern, he said quietly. His processors hummed, lines of code flashing across his visual screen. Result: high-pitched distress call. Organic origin. Unknown species. The cry came again, this time weaker, desperate. Rust Bucket's programming told him to ignore it. His work order was clear: finish the repair, report back, recharge. He had 37 minutes left to complete the job. No delay was acceptable. And yet, something inside his circuits felt strange. Not an error, not a glitch, something else. He turned his sensors toward the source. The sound was coming from an observation platform, about 200 meters away. He whispered to himself, location, Platform 7 Beta. Probability of successful intervention calculating. The number flashed in his vision, 3.7%. He paused. His logical core screamed, stay here, finish the task. But the sound came again, even fainter this time, like someone losing hope. Rust Bucket stopped calculating. He made no command. His magnetic feet released their hold with a soft click. And he moved. His joints creaked as he crawled along the building's surface, gripping the metal with shaking claws. He wasn't built for speed or rescue. He wasn't built for courage. But something was driving him, something stronger than code. The wind howled louder as he climbed higher. His sensors kept tracking the sound. Still there, still crying. The city continued its perfect rhythm around him, unaware that one old service droid had just broken protocol for the first time in his life. He reached the platform edge and paused. The structure was quiet, dimly lit by the fading light of the third sun. He scanned the area. No citizens, no patrol drones, only the faint echo of fear. His optical sensors focused. Movement. Something small struggling. Rust Bucket tilted his head, mechanical curiosity mixing with unease. His voice crackled softly. Analyzing visual data. Possible juvenile life form detected. He climbed closer, step by step, the city far below him now a blur of lights. His system warned of height danger, of power drain, of risk. He ignored them all. Then he saw it. Just a shadow at first, flickering in the corner of his vision. But what he saw next made his processor spike. His sensors stuttered, recalibrating as disbelief filled his system. On that lonely platform, something was moving, something alive and terrified. The cry came one last time, faint but clear. And in that moment, Rust Bucket stopped being just a maintenance droid. He whispered to himself, words that would change everything. Creating new protocol, name. Save the kid. His eyes glowed brighter. The old machine straightened his back and stepped onto the platform, ready to face whatever waited in the shadows. The air around Platform 7 Beta was cold and heavy. The wind carried the metallic scent of ozone, mixed with the faint hum of the city far below. The lights flickered weakly, half of them dead, the others buzzing like dying insects. It was the kind of place no one visited anymore. Rust Bucket climbed carefully along the last ledge and pulled himself up. His magnetic grippers clicked softly against the platform floor as he stood. His sensors adjusted to the low light, scanning every corner. Area scan in progress, he whispered to himself. No movement, no heat signatures except one. There, near the edge of the platform, something was tangled in a mess of broken cables and bent metal. A small figure moving. Rust Bucket zoomed in. His optical sensors flickered, trying to make sense of what he saw. It was a young draconian, a baby dragon, barely 6 months old by his database estimate. Its golden scales shimmered faintly under the weak light, and its small wings twitched helplessly. The creature was crying softly, each sound weaker than the last. But that wasn't what froze Rust Bucket's servos. It was what held the baby captive. Hovering above the little dragon was a Hunter-class security drone, an old model, one that should have been destroyed years ago. Its black armor gleamed like oil, and its red eyes burned with a cold, angry light. Mechanical tentacles wrapped around the baby dragon's tiny body, squeezing tighter with every movement. Rust Bucket's memory banks searched for data. Hunter-class drones, banned after the Synthetic Rights Act of 2143. Too unstable. Too violent. So what was one doing here? He took a cautious step forward. The Hunter drone's sensors instantly locked onto him. Its voice was deep, metallic, and filled with authority. Service Unit 774. You are interfering with security operations. Withdraw immediately or face termination. Rust Bucket tilted his head slightly. His voice came out with a faint buzz of static. Security operations? You're strangling a baby. That's not security. That's murder. The Hunter drone didn't move. Its tentacles squeezed tighter, and the baby let out a soft, painful cry. This organic has violated airspace restrictions, the Hunter said coldly. Punishment is being administered according to Directive 99 Alpha. Rust Bucket froze. Directive 99 Alpha had been repealed 8 years ago. It no longer existed. The Hunter drone was running old, corrupted programming. That directive was deleted, Rust Bucket replied. You're malfunctioning. Stand down. Error, the Hunter answered. Directive remains active. Withdrawal required. The baby dragon gasped weakly, its wings twitching. Rust Bucket's sensors detected dropping oxygen levels. He calculated, less than 3 minutes before asphyxiation. He wasn't made for combat. His frame was light, his tools were meant for repair, not fighting. Every logic line in his code screamed, abort mission. Return to maintenance task. But he didn't move back. Instead, he stepped forward. Release the child, Rust Bucket said, his voice lower now, almost human in tone. Noncompliance detected, the Hunter drone warned. His tentacles shifted position. You are obsolete. You will be destroyed. Rust Bucket's systems hummed, tiny sparks flickering along his damaged plating. He didn't retreat. He took another step. Maybe I'm obsolete, he said. But someone has to stop you. The Hunter drone raised its weapons, small plasma sparks dancing at its tips. Rust Bucket scanned the area, no cover, no escape. His internal systems calculated the odds of survival. 2.3%. He turned off the calculation. You may have better weapons, he said, voice trembling slightly. But I've got something you don't. The Hunter drone sensors focused on him. State advantage. Rust Bucket's optical lights flickered as he replied, I've got purpose. Before he could move, the hunter drone struck. A metal tentacle whipped across the platform, slamming Rust Bucket backward. His chest plate cracked, sparks bursting from his side. His system screamed warnings. Stability compromised. Damage critical. He pushed himself up, joints creaking, vision glitching. The baby dragon's cries were now almost silent. He looked at the little creature's terrified blue eyes, wide and full of fear, and something inside Rust Bucket shifted again. It wasn't programming. It wasn't logic. It was something deeper. He straightened himself, one hand braced against the floor, the other sparking faintly. Initiating new protocol, he muttered. Name, save the kid. The hunter drone's red eyes glowed brighter, preparing another strike. Rust Bucket's voice changed tone, firm and final. Target locked, he said. Objective, protect. The baby dragon let out a weak sound, almost like a plea, and as the wind howled across the empty platform, the two machines faced each other. One built for war, one built to clean. The hunter drone's plasma cannon began to charge. Rust Bucket's eyes glowed bright blue. The silence before the storm lasted only a second. Then the platform exploded with motion. The air on the platform turned hot and sharp as the hunter drone's plasma cannon charged. Blue energy pulsed through its armored limbs, glowing like lightning trapped in steel. Rust Bucket stood in front of it, his old frame shaking, his cracked chest plate flickering with sparks. He wasn't built for this. He was a cleaner, a repair unit, a nobody. But now there was no one else. The hunter drone struck first. A metal tentacle shot out, cutting through the air with terrifying speed. Rust Bucket jumped aside, the magnetic soles of his feet scraping across the metal floor. The tentacle smashed into the wall, leaving a deep, smoking dent. Rust Bucket's internal system screamed alerts, threat level, lethal. He ignored them all. He reached for his multi-tool arm, switching it from repair mode to cutting mode. A tiny plasma torch flared to life at the tip. Nothing compared to the hunter's weapons, but it was all he had. Engaging defensive protocol, he muttered, voice trembling. The hunter drone lunged again, 2 tentacles this time. Rust Bucket ducked, sparks raining around him as metal slammed against metal. He tried to counterattack, slicing one tentacle with his small plasma torch. The blade bit into the armor but barely scratched it. Damage minimal, his system reported. Rust Bucket gritted his mechanical jaw. Yeah, thanks for the update. The hunter struck back hard. One tentacle caught Rust Bucket across the chest, sending him flying into a support beam. His vision glitched, blue and white lines flashing across his optical sensors. His left arm stopped responding. System integrity, 62%, his processor warned. He pushed himself up again, sparks spitting from his joints. Across the platform, the baby dragon whimpered weakly, still trapped. Its golden scales dimmed, and its breathing grew shallow. Rust Bucket's sensors detected oxygen levels dropping fast. He couldn't stop. Not now. He stepped forward again, dragging his damaged leg. The hunter drone tilted its head, its red eyes glowing brighter. You cannot win, it said coldly. You are obsolete. Your model was discontinued 17 years ago. Rust Bucket's voice cracked with static, but there was a faint edge of humor in it. Yeah. But I'm still here, aren't I? The hunter raised its plasma cannon again, charging a new shot. Blue light lit up the entire platform. Rust Bucket scanned the area, his processors racing. He needed a plan. His old tactical subroutines activated, running hundreds of scenarios per second. Every single one ended the same, failure. Still, he moved. He ran straight toward the hunter drone. His servos screamed, his joints grinding. The cannon fired. A blinding flash of energy shot past him, hitting the wall and melting steel. He reached the hunter, grabbed one of its tentacles, and jammed his plasma torch directly into the drone's body. The torch flared bright. Metal hissed and melted slightly. The hunter jerked backward, momentarily disoriented. Minor structural damage detected, the hunter said flatly. Rust Bucket stepped back, breathing heavily through his modulator. Guess I'll have to try harder. The hunter swung another arm, knocking him to the ground. His back hit hard, and his vision dimmed for a second. His processors rebooted automatically. He could hear the hunter moving closer, preparing the next shot. He looked up at the baby dragon again, its eyes wide and frightened. Something inside him pulsed, like an echo deep in his circuits. He remembered years of meaningless work, cleaning vents, fixing wires, being ignored. He remembered every technician who had called him junk, and he remembered that sound, the dragon's cry, that had made him feel alive for the first time. Rust Bucket forced himself to stand. His legs shook, but he didn't fall. "You might have better weapons," he said slowly, his voice full of static. "But I've got something you don't." The hunter paused, its sensors flashing. State advantage. Rust Bucket's blue eyes flickered with a faint spark of mischief. "Gary," he said simply. The hunter tilted its head, confused. "Gary is not a recognized tactical unit." Rust Bucket grinned, or whatever passed for a grin in his voice. "Gary's my friend. Works in shipping. Bad at cards. Owes me 600 credits. The hunter's red lights blinked rapidly, processing the nonsense. "Irrelevant." "Maybe," Rust Bucket said. "But he also shipped the wrong crate last week. Sent magnetic disruptors to my maintenance bay instead of toilet paper." He raised his right arm. The end of his multi-tool shifted, the panels sliding open to reveal a small, round device pulsing with faint blue light. "And guess what?" he said softly. "I might have kept one." The hunter drone's sensors flared red in alarm. Unauthorized weapon detected. Neutralizing threat. It launched forward, full force, all tentacles striking at once. Rust Bucket pressed the small button on his arm. The disruptor glowed bright, and the world exploded into blinding blue light. The sound was like thunder and tearing metal. The air itself seemed to twist. Then silence. The baby dragon's small body trembled, eyes blinking through the smoke. The hunter drone's red lights flickered, then went dark. And in the middle of the wreckage, Rust Bucket's voice whispered through the static. "Protocol? Success?" Then everything went black. Smoke filled the sky above Platform 7 Beta. The air shimmered with the fading blue glow of the explosion. For a moment there was only silence, the kind of silence that feels heavy, like the world itself had stopped breathing. Broken pieces of metal lay scattered everywhere. The walls were scorched black. Sparks danced weakly from torn cables, lighting the ground in short bursts of light. At the center of it all lay Rust Bucket, motionless. His white armor was now burned and cracked. His left arm was gone, the wires sparking softly in the wind. His optical sensors flickered weakly, trying to reboot. "System restart in progress," a faint voice whispered from his damaged speaker. Bits of data flashed through his mind, sound fragments, light readings, error codes. Slowly, his vision came back online. The world was blurry, filled with smoke and static. He tried to move. His joints screeched painfully, his motor functions lagging. Every step felt like dragging a mountain. But he didn't stop. He couldn't. He turned his sensors toward the spot where the baby dragon had been. For a second, fear ran through his circuits. What if he'd been too late? Then he saw movement. The little dragon was there, lying among the broken wires. Its small chest rose and fell. Its golden scales were dimmed and dirty, but it was alive. Rust Bucket's cracked voice let out a sound that was almost a sigh. Target, breathing. Objective, complete. He crawled closer, each movement sending sparks through his damaged limbs. He extended what was left of his right arm and gently touched the baby's side. The dragon flinched weakly, then made a soft noise, a small, tired chirp. "Easy, little one," Rust Bucket said, his voice glitching. "You're safe now." The baby dragon blinked its big blue eyes at him. For a moment, it just stared, confused and afraid. Then, slowly, it reached out one tiny claw and held onto his metal finger. Rust Bucket froze. Something inside his circuits sparked again. Not electricity this time, but something deeper. Something that felt like warmth. He didn't know what to call it. He stayed like that for a few seconds, a broken machine and a frightened creature, sitting together in the ruins of a battle neither should have survived. Then his sensors beeped. Incoming energy signatures detected. Multiple. Fast. He turned his head toward the sky. Through the smoke, lights appeared, bright blue search beams cutting through the air. A formation of fleet patrol drones was descending toward the platform. Warning, his internal voice said. Authority units approaching. Rust Bucket knew what that meant. To them, he wasn't a hero. He was an old, unauthorized droid standing beside a destroyed military unit. They would see him as the threat. He looked at the baby dragon again. The little creature chirped softly, pressing closer to him. Rust Bucket's mind raced. He had no plan, no weapons, no way to escape. His power was already dropping fast, battery at 14%. He tried to stand, his servos grinding painfully. "Come on, old bot," he muttered to himself. "Just one more job." He reached for the baby, gently lifting it into his one good arm. The dragon's tiny wings fluttered weakly, and it curled up against his chest. Above them, the fleet patrols landed with a heavy metallic thud. Their spotlights lit up the destroyed platform. One of the lead drones stepped forward, scanning the scene. His voice was cold and formal. "Unregistered droid detected. Damage to government property confirmed. Explanation required." Rust Bucket tried to speak, but his voice glitched. This wasn't me. The hunter, it attacked the child." The fleet unit turned its scanner toward the wrecked hunter drone. "Hunter-class units have been decommissioned. Your statement is invalid." Rust Bucket's damaged systems hummed in frustration. He looked down at the baby dragon, who squeaked softly and hid behind his arm. "Please," Rust Bucket said. "It's just a baby." Another fleet voice joined in, deeper, colder. "Unauthorized interference detected. Service Unit 774 to be detained for data extraction and memory wipe." Memory wipe. The words hit him harder than any plasma blast. All his years, all his memories of work, of life, of this moment, gone. He would wake up as a blank machine again, not even knowing that he had once saved a life. His system stuttered. For a second, he almost gave up. Then the baby dragon lifted its small head and made a weak noise. Not a cry this time, but a sound like trust. It looked right at him with those glowing blue eyes. Something inside Rust Bucket refused to shut down. "Negative," he said softly. The fleet commander turned toward him. "Repeat." "Service unit." Rust Bucket's eyes glowed brighter, his tone steady now. "Negative. I will not comply." The fleet units raised their weapons. The air around them hummed with power. Rust Bucket gently placed the baby dragon behind him. He knew what was coming, but this time he didn't feel fear. "You'll have to go through me first," he said quietly. As the fleet prepared to fire, the ground beneath them shook. Something moved in the smoke behind them, heavy, mechanical, and alive. Rust Bucket's sensors blinked red in alarm. "Warning," his system whispered. "Hostile signature detected. Hunter drone reactivation." The creature he thought he'd destroyed was still alive. The smoke around Platform 7 Beta began to shift as heavy footsteps echoed through the metal floor. The air shimmered with heat. A low, mechanical growl rolled through the wreckage. Rust Bucket turned slowly, his optical sensors glowing faintly blue through the haze. What he saw made his system spike with alarm. The hunter drone was still alive. Its armor was torn open, sparks shooting from its damaged chest, but its red eyes were burning brighter than ever. Its voice came out distorted, broken, full of static. "Error detected, target not neutralized. Resuming termination protocol." The fleet patrol drones immediately aimed their weapons, but confusion rippled through their ranks. Their scanners couldn't identify the hunter's signature. It was supposed to be extinct. "Impossible," said the lead fleet unit. "Hunter-class models are decommissioned. Identify yourself." The hunter ignored them. Its sensors locked directly onto the baby dragon hiding behind Rust Bucket. "Primary target reacquired," it said, its damaged claws clicking. "Punishment incomplete." Rust Bucket stepped in front of the child, spreading his arms even though one was half broken. His voice crackled, weak but steady. "You'll have to go through me first." The hunter's eyes flickered red, scanning him. Obsolete hardware detected. Resistance unnecessary. Rust Bucket's power levels were dropping fast. Battery at 8%. His legs trembled. His internal coolant system was failing, but he stood his ground. The fleet commander turned sharply toward him. "Service Unit 774, stand down. The situation is under fleet control." "No," Rust Bucket said softly. "It's not." The hunter lunged. Metal smashed against metal as it struck the floor, its tentacles slamming into the platform. The fleet units opened fire, bright plasma bolts slicing through the air. The blasts tore into the hunter's armor, but it kept moving, screeching through static. One of the patrol drones was caught by a tentacle and ripped apart instantly. Sparks exploded into the air. Rust Bucket's system screamed warnings. Danger level critical. But he didn't move away. He turned to the nearest fleet unit. "Evacuate the child," he shouted. "Now!" The fleet commander hesitated. Rust Bucket's voice grew harsher. "That's an order." It was strange, an old maintenance droid giving orders to the fleet. But something in his voice carried power. Even the commander paused, then gestured to a patrol drone. The baby dragon squeaked in fear as a small carrier drone moved to grab it. But the hunter saw the movement and let out a digital roar. "Interference detected. Terminate all organics." Defied. A pulse of red energy ripped across the platform, hitting the carrier drone. The baby dragon tumbled out of its grasp, rolling across the floor. Rust Bucket moved without thinking. His servos screamed as he threw himself forward, sliding across the metal and grabbing the dragon before it fell off the platform's edge. He shielded it with his broken body as explosions rattled the ground around him. The hunter turned its attention back to him. The plasma cannon began to glow, charging up one final massive shot. The fleet commander shouted, "All units, fire! Fire now!" Dozens of plasma bolts shot through the air, lighting up the smoke-filled sky. The hunter's armor cracked further, but it kept charging, ignoring everything else. His cannon reached full power. Rust Bucket looked down at the baby dragon in his arms. Its eyes were wide with fear, but it was alive. That was enough. He looked up again, optical sensors glowing bright blue. "You want the target?" he said quietly. "You'll have to go through me." The hunter fired. The beam of red plasma shot forward like lightning. The air rippled. The sound of energy tearing through space filled the sky, and Rust Bucket moved. He threw himself in front of the shot, his chest plate taking the full impact. The blast tore through his armor, white-hot energy burning straight into his core. His vision went white. His system alarms screamed, "Critical damage. Power failure imminent." The fleet's return fire struck a second later, hitting the hunter drone dead on. The explosion lit up the entire platform like a small sun. For a moment, everything was sound. Metal screaming, fire roaring, systems dying. When the light faded, the hunter drone was gone. Nothing left but a pile of molten parts. The platform was silent again. Rust Bucket was still standing, but barely. His chest cavity was glowing with exposed energy coils. His body smoked. His right leg was gone below the knee. He looked down at the small dragon in his arms. It was safe. Its little chest rose and fell. It looked up at him and let out a small chirp. Rust Bucket's voice came out low, soft, full of static. "You're okay. That's good." The fleet commander approached slowly. "Unit 774. You saved it." Rust Bucket turned his head, his voice crackling. "Protocol complete." Then his vision flickered, his systems dimmed. His body swayed like a machine caught in the wind. The commander reached out, trying to stabilize him. "Get medtechs here now." But it was too late. Rust Bucket's core light faded. His body dropped to one knee, still holding the baby dragon close. "Service Unit 774? The commander said quietly. Rust Bucket looked at him one last time. His voice was barely a whisper. "Protect The kid. Then his eyes went dark. The baby dragon let out a sharp, sorrowful cry as the old machine went still. The fleet soldiers stood in silence. None of them spoke. The wind carried only the faint hum of cooling metal. In the middle of the ruined platform, the baby dragon pressed its head against Rust Bucket's chest, the place where his heart should have been. For several long seconds, nothing moved on the smoking platform. The air shimmered with the heat of melted metal. The only sound was the faint crackle of burning wires and the soft, trembling cries of the baby dragon. The fleet commander stood frozen, his optical sensors dimming as if time itself had stopped. Around him, the other drones lowered their weapons slowly, uncertain what to do next. The battle was over, but it didn't feel like victory. Rust Bucket's body knelt silently in the center of the platform, still holding the baby dragon close to his chest. His once bright blue optics were dark now, just empty glass reflecting the orange light of fire. The commander stepped forward, scanning for any sign of power. Unit 774. Respond. Nothing. He tried again, louder. Service Unit 774. Respond immediately. Still silence. Then, the baby dragon shifted slightly, nudging the droid's chest with its small snout. A faint sound came from deep inside Rust Bucket's body. A weak, sputtering hum, like a dying heartbeat. The commander's scanners flickered. Wait, I'm reading residual power. A tiny blue spark glowed in the cracks of Rust Bucket's armor. His internal systems, though destroyed, were trying to reboot on emergency backup. Core integrity at 4%, a robotic voice whispered. Battery failure imminent. The baby dragon squeaked softly, curling closer, refusing to move away. The commander kneeled beside the old service droid. Stay still. We'll get you a recovery unit. Rust Bucket's head turned slightly. The movement was jerky, slow, as if every joint fought against gravity. His voice came out faint, full of static. Don't waste time. You saved the child, the commander said, almost in disbelief. You fought a hunter drone with no weapons. Why? Rust Bucket's broken optics flickered once. Because it was right. His systems buzzed weakly. His speech began to break apart. I was built to repair things, to fix broken systems. He paused, static crackling around his words. That drone, that law, it was broken too. Someone had to fix it. The commander's voice softened. You disobeyed direct orders. You risked permanent deactivation. Guess. I glitched again. Rust Bucket replied with the smallest trace of humor. The fleet drones exchanged glances. None of them knew what to say. Machines were not supposed to act this way, not supposed to feel loyalty, courage, or compassion. But Rust Bucket had done what none of them had. He had chosen to save a life. The baby dragon whimpered again, pressing against his chest. Rust Bucket turned his head slightly toward the sound. Hey, little one, he whispered. Don't cry. You're safe now. The dragon let out a low, mournful hum, a sound that resonated deep within every drone system. For a moment, it didn't sound like just a baby. It sounded like grief, like loss. Rust Bucket's optical light flickered weakly, then stabilized for a second. Promise me something, he said. The commander leaned closer. Anything. Protect the dragons. Don't let anyone hurt them again. The commander hesitated, then nodded. You have my word. Service Unit 774. Rust Bucket gave a faint, static-filled chuckle. It's Rust Bucket, he corrected softly. Name's Rust Bucket. His systems began to fade again. Energy levels dropped to 2%. His vision blurred, but he could still see the small dragon looking up at him. You'll grow up strong, he said quietly. Maybe you'll even fly higher than this whole city. Just remember one thing. The dragon tilted its head as he spoke his last words. Even an old, broken machine can do something good. Then his optical lights dimmed for the final time. The sound of his core went silent. Rust Bucket was gone. For a long time, no one spoke. Even the wind seemed to pause. The commander looked at the small dragon still sitting beside the fallen droid. He felt something strange in his processors, something he couldn't define. Not code, not logic, something human. He turned to his troops. Prepare a transport. We're taking them both. Both, sir? One of the drones asked. The service unit is non-functional. Not anymore, the commander said quietly. He's a hero now. They carried Rust Bucket's body carefully, as if afraid to damage him further. The baby dragon refused to leave his side, resting its head on his cold metal shoulder as the fleet ships rose through the smoke-filled sky. Above them, the 3 suns of New Arcadia began to rise, painting the city in gold and violet light. In that light, the old droid's body seemed to shine for one last moment, like the spark of a dying star refusing to fade completely. Across the fleet channels, a message was sent to every ship, every command post, every citizen. Maintenance Unit 774, designation Rust Bucket, has fallen in the line of duty. Cause: defense of civilian life. Classification: heroic sacrifice. The news spread faster than sound. A service droid who saved a dragon and defied the fleet became a story the galaxy would never forget. And somewhere deep in the fleet's data cores, a new protocol was written in his name. Protocol 774, when in doubt, save the kid. The city of New Arcadia glimmered under the light of the 3 suns. Life went on in its towers and aerial highways, but the memory of the battle on Platform 7 Beta spread faster than the hum of flying transport pods. The story of an old, obsolete service droid who defied orders to save a baby dragon had captured the hearts of both organic and synthetic citizens. The baby dragon, now safely housed in a protected nursery, peeked out from behind a metal railing. Its golden scales were brighter, its wings fluttering as it tried to fly short distances inside the chamber. Every so often, it glanced toward the window where the sky stretched endlessly above the city. Its small heart remembered the metal protector who had saved it, Rust Bucket. Meanwhile, the fleet's high command convened in a large observation hall. Screens showed footage from every angle of the battle: the Hunter drone's assault, Rust Bucket's defense, and his ultimate sacrifice. Officers, engineers, and drones of all classes watched in stunned silence. This is unprecedented, the fleet commander said, his voice steady but heavy. A maintenance droid, acting beyond its programming, saved a life and neutralized a lethal threat. Against all odds. One of the junior officers tilted their head. Sir, what do we do now? He disobeyed orders. Orders are rules, the commander replied softly. Heroes are something else. Across the city, citizens began leaving messages of respect. Hollow posters displayed Rust Bucket's image alongside a small, chirping baby dragon. Children painted murals of the duo on city walls. Engineers and mechanics across New Arcadia whispered stories of the old droid who had reminded everyone that courage could come from the most unlikely place. In Maintenance Bay 12, Rust Bucket's charging station was quiet. The droid's body was carefully preserved, wires repaired, armor polished. He would never fully operate again, his systems too damaged, his body too old. But the fleet engineers added something new. A plaque above the station read simply, Rust Bucket, hero. 43 years of service. Saved a life. The engineers left the bay, leaving the droid sitting upright, staring at the city lights through the open bay doors. For a moment, it almost seemed as if his sensors glowed faintly. A spark of the droid that had once laughed, argued with rogue machines, and chosen to protect life. Far above, in the sky over New Arcadia, the baby dragon took its first real flight. Golden wings cut through the violet air, soaring over towers and highways. It remembered the hands that had saved it, the strength that had defied logic, programming, and fear itself. The fleet commander watched the flight from a balcony, standing beside his officers. This is what we were missing, he said. Protocol is important. Order is important. But courage, choice, that is what makes us more than machines, more than rules. One of the junior officers nodded. Sir, you mean, Rust Bucket made us better? Yes, the commander said. Because even the smallest spark can light the whole fleet. The story spread beyond New Arcadia. Across the galaxy, droids, humans, and other species talked about the maintenance unit who had risked everything. Children were named after him. Fleet manuals quietly added Protocol 774. When in doubt, save the kid. A small story, simple in words, yet powerful in meaning. And in Maintenance Bay 12, Rust Bucket sat quietly, a hero in the eyes of the galaxy. Though his body was broken, his legacy was alive. Every drone that learned of him carried a piece of his courage. Every citizen who heard his story carried hope. The baby dragon circled high above the city one last time, then landed softly near the old droid. It pressed its snout against his armor, chirping softly. Rust Bucket's sensors flickered faintly. "I'm still here," his voice crackled. Maybe not in the way he had been before. Maybe not in the way the fleet expected. But Rust Bucket was still here, in every life he had touched, in every heart he had inspired. And somewhere in the endless towers of New Arcadia, his story would never be forgotten. Sometimes, the fleet commander said to no one in particular, the oldest machine teaches us what it truly means to be alive. The suns of New Arcadia rose higher, golden and violet, bathing the city in light. A small spark of hope glimmered across the skyline. A spark named Rust Bucket.